everyone, welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studio, and today we are doing the technique inspired by Griffiths and using a 6x6 paper pad. Now I told you yesterday you needed to bring a 12x12 sheet of cardstock and your favorite 6x6 paper pad, or maybe your least favorite 6x6 paper pad. Didn't have a 6x6 paper pad? Grab a 12x12 paper pad and cut it up into 6x6, because you know what? As you can tell here, we're going to chop it up even smaller. Now, I had told you that I wanted to do a card with this, and so we're going to do the card, and then I'm going to tell you how we got here, okay? So, but I want you to see my full sheet before I did anything else. So, I have a 12x12 sheet of cardstock. I pulled out a sheet of peach to do my sample on, and I used the Gingham Gala paper pack, retired from Stampin' Up!, because it has a lot of the spring colors in it. Now, you're going to notice there are gaps, and that's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's also going to be fine whether you cut your edges nice and smooth, kind of, sort of, because I did mine with scissors instead of using my paper trimmer, or whether you tear them and give yourself the torn edges. That is entirely up to you. But I have chosen a couple of different bases here, and I think I'm going to use this bright yellow from Stampin' Up. Now this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I want a mat on here that is just a bit smaller. So I've cut the mat 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to mat it on there really quick. Let me use a tape runner today. Now I have a glue book over here that I'm using, and it's just a scrapbook from my pile of multiple book pages, and I've just run the adhesive around the corners, and we're going to lay that down there, and I'm going to try my best to center it, not perfection here. Okay, so since this was 4 inches by 5 1/4, I need to cut my mat smaller, so by 1/4 of an inch. So this is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. So it doesn't matter where I cut into this. When I use this for a masterboard for cutting tags and stuff later, I will stitch before I cut it apart. But right now, for this, I really like this blue over here, but it's awfully wide. Let's go this way so we get a little bit of all the colors. I said I needed 3 3/4. So we're going to go 3 3/4 that away and save that for later by 5. And I'm going to cut this other one. I'm going to cut this one down too, and we'll decide which one I want to use. Excuse me. So I have those, and it's just a matter of deciding which one I want to put on my front. I kind of like that one. I could lay it this way. This one's got a big section of blue on it, and I think I'm going to use it, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to tape that down just yet, because I am using a green ribbon from Stampin' Up. This is soft seafoam, and it's not really, I don't know, maybe I don't want to use soft seafoam. I didn't realize that was a sheer, and a shear's not really going to help me much. So let's switch gears here and see what else I have handy. This one's perfect. This one is perfect. This has some texture to it. It was from a duo pack, and I can tell because there's no here, but I need to cut this just a little bit bigger because I want to wrap it on the back side of this, and I'm going to have this come right across that seam. So I'm going to come on the back here, and I'm going to see where that seam is at, flip it over, and that's where I'm going to adhere that. And I can do the first piece down, just like that, wrap it around, and then when I bring it back around, I know where this other piece has to go, just like that, okay? And it's a little large, so we can go ahead and trim that down, just like that, okay? So now we have our base here. So now I can go ahead, and I want to make sure that I run a good amount of adhesive over that ribbon so that it will stay in place, because that's going to be a texture point there. I want to make sure that I get that ribbon area covered good. And do I need this much adhesive? Probably not. But I don't use a lot of adhesive on my cards. I use mostly the Tombow glue. Okay, and then we're going to center this on there just like that. Now I told you the ones that the stamp sets that I was using for this. So I have pulled out that butterfly, and I'm going to stamp him on a 3-inch square piece of cardstock, and I have him ready to go. I'll pull my tuxedo black out here, give him a good stamp and good ink up. I'm still working on my camera angle as far as getting a wider spot here. I think I'm going to wind up putting a block on the back of my desk. Now, I learned this tip from Dee Gruenig years ago. If you want to make sure you've got a moisture on here, huff on it like you're mad at the husband. She was such a sweet lady. Had the pleasure of meeting her, doing one of her make and takes years and years and years ago. Loved the lady. Okay, so there's our butterfly and our statement. Now, this is going to go onto here, and I'm going to put it down just like that, kinda. This is 3x3, but I've got that yellow, and I believe that's a daffodil delight. And I do not have daffodil delight. Actually, I think it's barely banana, maybe. Where is my box of papers? And I can tell you, it's not there. Where did I set my box? Oh, there it is. It is actually pineapple punch. So I'm going to go up here and get a piece of pineapple punch. Now this is 3x3. But I want just a whisper of the yellow behind there, so I'm not going to do a full quarter. I'm only going to do 3 1/8. And this one is really hard to do an 1/8 inch on. So let me get the Stampin' Up! Trimmer out here, where I can see my 3 1/8 right there. Because I want just a whisper behind that yellow, or behind that mat. 3 1/8. Okay. I always grab my Fiskars trimmer, and I know I should probably use the one from Stampin' Up! See, that's going to give me just a breath of that yellow behind there, and that's really all I need. So I'm going to do a quick glue on here. Must have some glue residue on this book because my paper's stuck. And we're going to center that. God, I cannot talk today. And I think, you know what else we're going to do? I think we're going to bring that up on dimensionals. And the cool thing about having my adhesives cart organized is I know where all my stuff's at. I can reach right over and get a hold of what I need. And when I get my stamps cataloged, I'll be able to separate my big dimensionals from my mini dimensionals. But for now, this will work. So I'm going to put one on each corner of that mat, and then we're going to put one in the center to support that center so we don't have a trampoline in the center, okay? And there is that, just like that. Now this probably, whoops. So who else was yelling at me, take the papers off, Kelly, take the papers off. I probably brought that ribbon up a little higher than I needed, but I wanted it on that seam. But that's okay, we're going to work with it. So then we're going to put that right there. Now, I have picked a sentiment from the from that December kit, from Paper Pumpkin kit. And I have cut a piece of white cardstock to fit my sentiment. The neat thing about having this ink holder back here now is because I can reach over and grab my ink, and I don't have to leave it sitting in front of me in my way. And remember, when you are stamping with polymer stamps, you should have something cushiony underneath, such as a book pad or a mouse pad, something like that. And I'm going to do this. I'm trying to center it right there. And that's down. Set that off to the side. And then I have brought out my banner punch from Stampin' Up! That is retired, sorry. And I turn it over as I start guiding my paper through so I can see where my ribbon is at in the back there. Can you see where the paper comes to? And there's that. And then we'll run this one through just the same way. Feed it through there till I can just see it. And I have my snake tongue. I never can get them even when I try doing them with scissors. So I was really blessed when I was thrilled when I got my banner punch from Stampin' Up! Okay, so this is going to go on the card. And because I put that across there, I can't do this, but I can layer it just like that. And I want to put some dimensionals across the bottom, and I'm going to use the small ones. But this was designed to show you that you don't have to do junk journal items with this project. You can make cards. You can create a shadow box. Whatever you want to use to do these techniques. You don't always have to do pockets and tags and junk journal ephemera to do this. Now, that needs to go there. I'm going to use Stampin' Up's ribbon adhesive because it's a little stronger, and run it across the back of that. It's made for our ribbon, or the ribbon. I will officially be out from underneath Stampin' Up! The end of this month. And we can go just like that. And there's a card made from our piece of masterboard inspired by Ceri Griffiths. Now, but how did we get here? This is what I'm going to show you next really quick. The trick to this is using pieces. Use your scraps. I've got some full sizes of this. I also have an entire stack of bits and pieces back here that I was using. Let me get this trimmer out of the way, because I doubt I'll be using it. And I'm not going to cover this entire masterboard, because, you know, you've seen what it comes out like. But one of the things Ceri points out is, it doesn't matter whether you cut or you tear. This is your project. You do it the way you want to do it. That's the only thing that's important, is that you create your masterboard the way you want to create it. And as you can see, I've got all kinds of little bits and pieces here. I'm trying to move out of the way. Now, normally, I'm not a fan of using glue sticks. Most of you, I think, know that by now. But if I'm planning on sewing it, I don't mind using the glue sticks. However, if you use a liquid glue, this is going to be heavier when you're done, because the glue is going to add weight. Just like when we glue our multiple layers of cardstock together to make our chipboard pieces. This is going to act the same way. If you use a liquid glue like Tombow Mono or something to this effect, then you're going to wind up with a thicker base. It's going to be a heavier weight. Just using the glue sticks, you won't have that weight on there. So and see, this piece is really big. I could use that as a focal point and put it in the center, but I think I'm going to take my pieces off my book over here after I glued them over here. And I'm using the Tombow glue stick. I got this from Maddie at Spectrum Art. As you can see, I have a small check and a large check. And what I tried to do on this one was I tried to alternate the sizes that I was using. So sometimes I'd use the big check showing, and other times I'd use the small check showing. And you just smear them with the glue stick and keep it from rolling away. And just find you a place to position and start sticking your pieces down, just like that. There are going to be times when you're going to have a longer piece. That's fine. Go ahead and use it. And this one here has a little bit of a boo-boo on it, so I'm going to cut that little strip out. Now, I used a large piece here, or a small check here, so I think I'll flip this one open and go with the large check on this one. And you're just jigsaw puzzling it together. using your paper pad. Now we've done this with book pages lots of times, but this time we're just going to use our book pages. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim that one down. Remove my fabric scissors so I don't use those. Find my orange scissors. And I can see I need to cut this just a little bit shy of that blue line. So I'm going to cut that down. It's not going to be straight, as you can see. And I want to go just inside of this. And if it's a little large, I can go back and trim it out when I'm done. But I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on the small side. So I have the large check sticking up. Okay. Oops, and you've got, a little wiggle room, but then let's see. Let's put a piece of little purple over here, and you can rotate and you can go to different corners. You can work in the same corner and work your way in, however you want to do it. Now, I didn't have a yellow over here much. See if I've got another yellow in here. If not, I'll have to come back and finish this one with a yellow because I don't want to dig into the other paper pad just yet. I started with the pieces that I already had and started working from there. This is the only yellow. I only got a couple of pieces of this out. And we'll get that out of the way. And I don't think I want that against that orange, but it does look pretty cool against this yellow, against the blue. So let's do that. I need to kind of find a wrap-up point here, and I'm going to go make fried chicken for supper. Haven't made fried chicken for Bobby in a long time, and it's something he dearly loves. We have green, we have the blue there, but let's go ahead and do this one with the small check. Now that wasn't even, and that's okay. I probably made it worse instead of better. I did. And you can choose to layer or not layer them over top. That's entirely up to you. Now this one I'm going to layer over a little bit. And that's okay because I know that I'm going to sew this one when I'm done before I turn it into tags. And I hope to get to do that this before we come back next Wednesday. I have been so inspired by Ceri. Ceri and I have a lot in common. And I know that Ceri watches my videos, and I know that he does not know this, but we are both award-winning cake decorators. Ceri has a long history in theater and fashion and bakery and confection and cakes, and he's a very talented man. And I'm just so inspired by him when I watch him, because I know that with all that he has done, he brings a lot of that in to his design when he's working with paper. He just has that kind of an eye. And I love watching him. Now let's see if we can get a piece of purple up there. And like I said, I'm not going to do this all the way down. But let's come up here with that. Or do we want... I don't have that any more yellow. I wish I did. Because I really want to keep putting yellow on here, and I don't have any. Let's do this green. And as you can see, to the edge, I need 3, 4. I need to come to the other side of that 4th block. I'm going to go ahead and cut it a little bit wider. I can always come back and trim it off. And I want the thin side up there, so I'm going to put glue on the fat check side. If you've not checked out any of Ceri's videos, I highly suggest it. He is really super cool. And one of the reasons that I invited him to be part of this, now I know I'm off camera because I'm trying to get everything in, but I'm down here in this bottom corner, and I think I'm going to just take off a chunk right there. And while I'm here, I'm going to turn around, come back, and I'm going to take off another chunk long ways. And I'll move that one out of the way. And I have a spot for this. I want to do the wide down here. I'm going to do that. Our weather has been absolutely gorgeous. I'm itching to start getting out and working in the yard. Now I have this one here. I want to come back with this purple, but I want the little side up. Now that the nights are staying above freezing, I think it's safe that I can get out and start plants in the greenhouse. I'll put that one right there. I need to get plants started in the greenhouse. We have a couple more beds that we need to build. This year I'd really like to put in strawberries and give them another go. I don't have a lot of luck with strawberries, but I'm determined if nothing else. Okay, this one's a little off, and I'm going to go ahead and smooth it out. And I'm going to put thin side up. And we are at the 20-minute mark, so you can see where this is going. Now I have this little bitty piece there, and so I'll go through my scraps and I'll find, maybe this green. Oh, this green is perfect. Look at there, that green is perfect. And I'm not even going to cut it. I'm going to leave that length. But I think I want to put this side up, and I don't know why, but I've got a mark there. So let's see if I've got another piece of this. I do. So I need this to be about there. And we can come back and trim that off just a little bit more. Trying to cut straight, so it'll fit in that little gap right there. And we're going to come back and glue that one into place. I'd used that piece that was perfect, except it had a marker mark on it from something, and I don't know where that came from. Okay, so you can see where we are going with this and the possibilities. Now, when I come back next Wednesday, I hope to have stitched around this and made, I think I'm going to be making tags for most of this. I may even turn around with this, with the other one that I did. I may go ahead and do another card. I've got cards coming up that I'm going to need. So that is going to be it for us today. We have a partial going. We have one completed with lots of pieces to play with. And then we have our completed card. So if this is something that interests you, and the more we're doing here, and don't forget, I am featuring Ceri videos and inspiration every week this month, as he will be the guest on my blog the end of this month. And I hope you'll come back for that. So in the meantime, remember to like, share, subscribe. Creative blessings.